The host has started broadcasting the meeting on YouTube.
Welcome everybody to another TDC Today Show USA, where the Disability Channel is headquartered in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Looking to bring it across the United States here, and all about the media, television, radio, and for everybody with people with disabilities and some different things going on. But we have some great guests today, and one of them has been on before, but we have a couple sort of newbies today. But our first one, our first one is from Hawaii, who I think we met through Mariana, who's just got on here, just got connected to audio. So I think at first I'm going to bring in Marianne here. Marianne is a longtime contributor of the show, and the author, app developer, sign language interpreter. So Marianne might come in here and say a little bit about briefly what you do, who you are, what you do, and the guests you brought on today with you.
Hi, aloha. I'm Marianne of Waikiki. I'm the author of the Acts of Kindness series, featuring 200 Manus animal character puppets. My books are written for animation movies with sign language characters and soundtrack by Lucy Lynch and The Perfect Wave, our local Hawaiian singers. And I am currently working with my writer, Suzanne Sims, for our third storybook called Pool Acts of Kindness for Climate Change, featuring Waterflow, the whale. And we are highlighting Leanne McLaughlin and his organization, Clean Water Foundation, where he brings filters to worldwide schools and clinics to 35 countries worldwide. He's been recognized by the United Nations for his noble work, as well as the Bill Gates Foundation for a 5th year in a row award. They're doing a photo shoot with him. He's going to be fundraising for a filters for the Hopi Navajo Desert in Sedona, Arizona in September. So we got a lot of exciting events and special guests that are bringing their hard and hard work to the world to raise and to the world. So I want the next guest to come on board and tell us who you are, how we met, and what kind of exciting things are you doing to heal this planet?
Oh, Marianne and everybody, it's so nice to be here. I just had to tweak my schedule a little bit. My lovely husband is taking care of some things. I don't even think I need to move the bike. We just had somebody show up. How's that for divine intervention? So, I have a little different take on the word disability, because just in my experience of studying the human soul for the last 15 years, the soul is genderless. It doesn't have a race. It doesn't have, a soul is a different, it's just completely different as far as how we perceive it on a human level. And so I look at a soul as having an experience through being human. Even though the soul is a human soul, it's an experience. So each one of us is choosing to have a different experience, even though there really is very little separation between us. So healing right now really seems to be of the utmost, because healing is a form of integration. And if there is a separation going on where people see a separation between the physical and the spiritual, which there is not, you cannot have the physical without the spiritual. It's just when you can only perceive 5 dimensions and you can only perceive a very small, narrow, visible spectrum and hear a very small spectrum, then it's easy to get myopic and not really be able to see past whatever, however you want to call it, the illusion, the matrix. So I look at healing as perfecting whatever that program is. So if any of you remember seeing the Matrix, when Neo says, I know jujitsu, I know karate, right? Remember, they just put that program in and then he knew it. So we have 97% of our DNA is dormant, according to different scientists, particularly in Russia, where they've been doing experiments. And what they've determined is that if you do certain practices or have certain experiences or even certain words can activate that spiritual DNA. And then we actually end up emanating more light. And the more light we have, then the easier it is to stay well. So a lot of healing right now is detoxification, and then building up that light. So it would be like if you feel somebody, have any of you had the experience where you feel like somebody's tugging on your energy or trying to pull at your energy a little bit? So the stronger your light is, the less that will happen. So it's really not about catching a cold or catching COVID or any of that. It's really about activating your own dormant DNA. That's been my experience. So if somebody was trying to pull at your energy, it would be like trying to put a straw in a fire hydrant. It's not going to happen. Right. So I've been fortunate that I have a teacher for the past 15 years that has, where I've had access to actually studying the human soul. And the human soul has about 617 soul facets. So wow. I can actually show you a picture before we get off of the human soul. And this is really out of the box. So whatever you don't, I just figured with everything going on right now, I'd stretch it a little bit more instead of, just to open up information that's not normally shared. So and each soul facet has a different anatomical part. It has 5 parts, each one. So when people get ill, usually they've had a trauma, and a trauma could be bad dental work. It could be an argument. It could be not having both of your parents at your birth. It could be so many things that trauma is in the subconscious mind. So one of the first things I recommend for people is, and this isn't my tool, this is a tool off of a website called tybro.com, tybro.com. I love this CD, and it's called Conscious Mind Cleansing. And it was developed by a psychiatrist who found that this was literally saving lives. So if 95% of our choices are made in our subconscious mind is very literal. So if you can get in there and access and clean out the subconscious mind, then the choices we make in the conscious mind are much more of what we want rather than the habit of what we're used to. It's huge to be able to clean up the subconscious mind. So that's one audio download off of tybro.com. And that one is actually, I don't know, they have 50% off sales a lot. But also on that website is a tool that is free. It's called the Miracle Prayer. You just go on the website, go to the audio downloads, look for the Miracle Prayer. They have different audio downloads, but one of them is free. And just playing that in the background is incredible. So the miracle prayer is a 2,800-year-old prayer. It's originally called the Anabakoach, and Life Magazine did an article on this prayer many years ago in the 90s, and they found that people who either memorized it or heard it literally were having real deal miracles happen. One person had a new engine just show up in their car. Another person, just somebody in white, showed up and stopped a mugging. It's having access to what we call the primordial world. So I look at miracles as proof of the primordial world stepping into our smaller world here on Earth. And I know people who have been cured of cancer by just learning that prayer and reciting it. So I recite it every day. If I see an ambulance driving by, I recite the prayer. If I see an animal that needs, attention on the side of the road or has even passed, then I will place my hands on that animal and say the prayer. So I wanted to share those tools because they're really accessible and easy. So what I'm focusing on right now, because people are coming to me for these things, is one is I offer a course called the Living Soul Spiritual Development Course. This is not for everybody. It's a 2-year program. And essentially it is a combination of detoxification on a very deep spiritual level, and also building the Dharma and working with solar practices, fasting, and all of these tools come together. If you are successful, you have what's called the Vision of 4. And the Vision of 4 is a real vision. So a real vision is something that happens if your eyes are open or if they're closed. And the Vision of 4, it kind of looks like a solar cross, and it just floats in the air, or it can be in different, people have had different experiences. But once you have that experience, it means that you have all of your soul facets back, which means that all of the traumas that affected your soul have been cleared, integrated, and healed. You also have this experience, which is telling you that you have reached the first stage of enlightenment. And that's a word we hear of monks and people who live in caves. But the truth is, we can have this experience living in the Western world. And when you have the first stage of inner enlightenment, what happens is you activate what's called your body of light. We talked about that briefly with the dormant spiritual DNA. And you begin the process of outer enlightenment. And the real gift to having this experience is you don't have to come back to this realm. You have raised your vibration high enough that the Creator recognizes you, and you become what's called a divine conscious soul. And so the beauty of that, not that I don't love being here, I think we're here for a purpose, but reincarnation is a bit of a trap, because what happens is if you believe in reincarnation, then, when you leave your body, then often what happens is if you haven't raised your consciousness to a certain level, whatever is familiar to you, whatever you're used to, you will have to go back there and try again. So what we want to do in this lifetime, and we're seeing people, 2 distinct different groups of people right now in the world making the choice of whether they want to exit and come back and start again, or if they are trying to raise their vibration because they can feel something else is being offered to them, even if they don't understand it. So this is why the miracle prayer is so important, is it's one of the fastest ways I know to be able to raise your vibration. So that program it's wonderful. We have an amazing Living Soul family. We meet once a month on Zoom. And the work is done individually with lessons. There's 17 lessons. So that's probably that's probably the highest level of work that I'm doing right now, as far as programs. But I'm doing my sound healing, and that's been a wonderful door for people to be open if they have a health issue. And then probably what I want to share here in more detail is a spiritual cleanse, what that is. Do I have 1 more minute to share what a spiritual cleanse is?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Please tell us more. Yes, I'm as much time as you'd like here. And it's been Phillips here is joining us here. She's a sound healer. I actually met her at the university and through a great friend, Marcia Joyner from the Chamber of Commerce, Persons with Disabilities, who introduced us. We did some healing events on the island of Oahu. So more healing. I love the sound vibrations. I listen to solfeggio frequencies, the ultimate sound bath. Please share more of your gifts to the world today.
Oh, thank you, Marianne. Well, it's really the human soul is really my passion. It really is. We don't talk about it enough. We don't understand it enough. And it's really our greatest gift is our soul. So spiritual cleanse is essentially, we all take a shower every day and hopefully brush our teeth. But a spiritual cleanse is basically cleaning your bioenergetic field. Because if your field starts to get things in it, you can actually see, if you look at somebody's field or aura, you can see a cold about 2 feet out before, let's say 2 weeks out, maybe 2 feet out, but it would take about 2 weeks for that cold to enter the body. So when you keep the field clean, you really do mitigate getting sick. So, or having negative things happen to you. So a lot of times when things happen to people, it's because they're attracting those things based on what's in their field. So a spiritual cleanse cleans out the bioenergetic field, and it also cleans out the physical body. So a lot of people are coming to me right now. The spiritual cleanses kind of go in waves. I'll notice I won't have somebody ask for a cleanse, and then I'll have 5 or 6 in a matter of just a couple of weeks because there's something going on, right? And it's affecting people. So a cleanse it's a 90-day process. And, we get on the phone, I find out what's going on, we get to the root of what's going on. And then I end up making these cleanses that have these spiritually charged scripts. And it takes 5 to 7 minutes to do it at home. It's maybe 20 days of burning these one script a night in the evening before you go to sleep. And, it's basically a healing ritual. And after the 20 days, then, you also have a charged laminated script, and then you charge the water once a day, drink the water, continue the cleanse. So, but I find that if people are going through a divorce, lost a job, health issues, anything where they feel like they need that extra boost, then often it's the cleanse that they will, that they request. So, and these are things I normally don't advertise. Normally people will come to me because I have music and I do sound healing. So, but I wanted to mention them because they're out of the box, and we're living in a world that's really out of the box right now. What happened in Lahaina is, it's been heartbreaking to hear the stories of what people are going through. And I've been trying to figure out what I can do from here, on a healing level, because there's so much trauma happening with people. So, the last thing I wanted to share is not so out of the box. I have an album called Mikael that was in a scientific study in the UK a few years ago. And it was determined that if you listen to the album for 20 minutes, it increases red blood cell production 18 times. So red blood cell production, and how they did the study is they took a tube of blood and they placed it in a room, soundproof. And then they took the same, another tube of blood from the same person, placed it in another room, and then they played different music. And then they counted the blood cells after 20 minutes. So I found that fascinating that that in such a short time, the blood will multiply the red blood cells, which is the second best way to increase your immunity. So just listening to this album, even if you don't go for a session or, do anything else, it's gonna give you a boost. So that I actually have lowered the price to only $5 because I want people to not have money be an issue, where they can just have an album that can actually help them with their health. So it's been exciting to see Mikhail traveling in places that normally wouldn't. So yeah, I'm going to be quiet, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So tell us a little bit more about your crystal bowls. I had the honor to hear them several times on the islands and raising vibration. How did you get started? My kind of story and journey in Hawaii that started was through guided meditation at the Unity Church of Hawaii. I asked what my next purpose was, and I was guided. I was going to write a series of children's sign language books with puppets, and I laughed, and it kept coming to me. And if it comes to you, it's for yours to do. And so through my journey, I met Scott, who I interpreted for over a decade in Hawaii. I met Suzanne Sims, a writer, and Lucy Lynch sang at the Unity Church with this angelic voice, who became very elegant with crystal bowls and singing and weddings. And so I'm real excited that they're part of the soundtrack. And Suzanne wants to continue to work on this climate change book. And so tell us, how did things come to you? How did you get the gift or the knowing or the calling or the purpose to do these special talents that you can share with the world?
And
Well,
actually, I'm going to ask if you can share that in our very next episode. So that's going to be a little bit of a tease. We have another episode coming up next. So we're going to go ahead and say thank you to everyone for being here today. It's been a pleasure getting to know you, Leanne. And if you can stick around, I definitely want to hear more and continue the story. So my name again is Sue Roskoff. And for all of us here at the TDC Today Show USA, we thank you.